Every story holds a spark of the human spirit. It's time to really let that light shine. This is Conjuring the Human Spirit, hosted by Sean McGuire Meeks, a space for honest conversations, deep connection, and the shared journey of being fully alive. This season, Sean also welcomes guests who open up about their own transformations and experiences, reminding us all what it means to heal, grow, and thrive, one story at a time. You're invited. Let's begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Conjuring the Human Spirit. My name is Sean McGuire Meeks, and as you can see if you're watching us on YouTube, Christmas has exploded here at the farm. There are trees everywhere, and we are so excited in preparation of the holidays. If you're with us this week, that means you survived the lust episode of last week, which was pretty traumatic and dramatic and vulnerable for me. So, again, my intention was that it served you. So I certainly hope it wasn't being salacious for the sake of being salacious, but it was in service of you. And so I thought it would be really great for me to segue into this week, into really talking about addiction, what it is, what it can be to you. My goal this week for this episode is, and really every episode, but particularly for this one, is to get you to not turn off this episode. They say in the work that I've done over the years that the miracle, if you check out, you miss the miracle. You check out before the miracle happens. And I promise, if you stick with us through this episode, you'll get the miracle at the end, because we're going to talk about a lot of great, juicy stuff. And I have a challenge for you too as you listen this week. And the challenge is for you to find the similarities in what we're talking about. I don't want you to sit over there and say, that's not me, or no, not me. But I know that there are things in your life that you're struggling with. I know that these algorithms are dragging you all over the place. And in episode 1 of season 2, if you haven't heard it, is about the 8 deadly thoughts. And they're just built into who we are as human beings. They affect the human spirit, and we can't help it. That's who we are. And these algorithms and these phones drag us around. They find out which one they can and should exploit, and then they do. So I know you're out there struggling with something, and we're going to talk a little bit about drug addiction today. We're going to talk about alcoholism, but I'm going to always try to tie back to maybe something you're struggling with. Maybe it's food or TikTok and unable to put your phone down, or I'm not sure what it is you're struggling with out there, but I know if you're human, then your human spirit is struggling. And I have a guest this week. He's sitting here being so patient as I continue to babble on about what we're going to do. But I brought in, this is Jason John Evans.
Hi.
And I brought Jason in because Jason been in recovery for, is it 14 years?
14 years, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I met Jason probably 12 years ago or so in Jacksonville at a meeting.
Yeah.
A recovery meeting. And we've built a beautiful relationship over the years. And I've watched you
grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, grow and work program of recovery, and you're really identifying the things in your life that aren't serving you and really just
trying to change those. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been inspiring, Jason, to watch you over the years.
Well, thank you.
What's been really interesting is just the blind spots. I mean, I think that there are just things that over the years that I look and I think that you ought to know.
Yeah.
And you don't know.
Yeah. It's hard to see yourself, because we get so caught up in the daily grind of everything. So, it's hard to catch those blind spots because, like I say in recovery, if I would have known it or thought it before, you wouldn't know me, but.
What do you mean? I don't understand. What does that mean?
Well, like if I would have known how to recover on my own, I wouldn't have needed a program. I would have needed the help of other people and the group and their power in numbers. So yeah, that's why I went into a program, and I'm so ever grateful for doing that because
I remember when
I
I first came in, my sponsor he had this book in the program that I did, and the first page is black.
Right.
And so he said, open up the cover. And I said, okay. And I, of course, flipped ahead to where the words were. And he goes, no, go back to the cover.
Right.
I'm like, what? There's nothing there. And he goes, that's right. You know nothing.
Exactly.
I was like, okay. So, Jason, I just wanted to have the listeners have a deeper understanding of your story. Like, what is it that grabbed your attention? What is it that you struggled with that brought you into this place of wanting to change and grow and learn and become the man that you have become?
Well, I got addicted to drugs, and like towards the end, my drug of choice was opiates, and then towards the very end, it was anything I could get my hands on.
What was it at the beginning?
Well, it started out gradual. It was a gradual incline of things. So it started out in college with just alcohol and weed. And then it grew from there into cocaine and other things like acid and ecstasy. And
Was there any inkling as things were growing that you thought, well, things are growing, they're getting out of control? Or was it just blindly one thing was leading into the next?
blindly, totally. I have family, relatives that are also in recovery, and so I knew a little bit about this in the first place, but and I thought to myself, oh well, this isn't going to touch me. I like somehow or another I was privy to it passing over me or something. I don't even know what I really truly thought, but I did not think that I was going to lead myself to where I found myself. And it was not a pretty place, and I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be in my own skin.
Well, talk a little bit about so you said you were doing the alcohol and lighter stuff, and then you went into a little acid. But what was that like, and when did you begin to realize that there was a problem?
Well, from the acid and ecstasy and all those other lighter things to
Lighter things?
well, yeah, that's what I'm considering it because
Acid?
yeah,
Whoa.
well, in my darkest of days, it got to be crack and heroin and opiates and fentanyl and whatever I could get my hands on. I mean, like absolutely whatever I could get my hands on.
So then go back to the lighter days. The lighter
Okay.
days was because I think ultimately that's how it is. In last week's episode, I was talking about lust, and I was talking about how when I was first looking at pornography, it was really these beautiful men that were coming together who looked in each other's eyes and discovered, and touched, and then they saw one another, and it was like, oh, and I remember it felt so good inside, and it was similar to the journey of an addict or alcoholic.
Right.
And then
Like
it got to
what I call the lighter side. Right.
the lighter side, right?
Yeah.
And then it got to where last week's episode ended with me there humiliated.
Yeah.
And sounds similar. So continue
Yeah.
that.
It like I said, I didn't think it was going to be anything. It was just me living my life and having fun doing it, or so I thought. But it's a sneaky little foe. And it will come and grab hold of you. And when it does, it's not letting go. It does not want to let go. And
So how did it grab hold of you, Jason?
well, it grabbed hold of me by just making my life unmanageable. Totally. But it would, like I said, it was subtle, ever so slightly, day by day. It was worse and worse to where I just couldn't even manage. I couldn't wake up in the morning without having to have whatever it was I needed. And I couldn't function. But in the beginning, it was not like that. But they also say in recovery and addiction that, our addiction grows, like right along with us, and it becomes more and more and more. So what used to be suffice back in our early lighter days, if you will not be later on, because it just comes to be too much. And like in our program of recovery, it says our life become unmanageable, and that's what it is. It's all about the whatever the addiction is. And addiction can be anything, it can be anywhere from, drugs and alcohol to shopping, gambling, sex, pornography,
TikTok,
Reels,
phone.
all that stuff.
I had mentioned before this woman. I know she's a PhD, and she put a 15-minute limit on TikTok, and she's struggling. She's struggling.
Yeah.
And so they we were talking earlier about, what did you say? Someone goes into the closet, literally.
Right. Exactly.
To look
like
at
watching their reels in the closet, and that is so. It's so wild to think that, because I've known lots of people that can start some reels, and then before they know it, they've been on their phone for 3 hours, and the 3 hours is gone.
Yeah, and
I
I know
no clue.
Absolutely know our listeners can
relate to that.
Yeah, thank
absolutely,
you. Relate to
yeah.
that. And then the shame around that, right? Because it's really, how does such a thing create such powerlessness? And that's what we're talking about today. We're really talking about powerlessness in our lives, be it the
Whatever it
depth
is.
of addiction that you were suffering, which is pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
You were saying around the pills that you were doing. Would you be willing to share some of the depth of that addiction?
Sure. Yeah. Opiates are, a pretty strong drug. You can do them many different ways, from snorting to smoking to injecting. I like to smoke them myself. So, I would go all out. I would throw the pill in my mouth, lick all the time release off of it, break it up into bits and pieces, throw it on a piece of foil, make a tube out of a pin, and smoke it up with a lighter underneath the foil. They call it chasing the dragon. And that's
it has a
exactly what
name.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Chasing the dragon.
And it's the dragon, the smoke that's coming off of the foil?
Exactly.
Wow.
And chasing the dragon is, you can also see, it leaves a little snail trail of where that pill has melted away, as it's going down the foil, and you're smoking up all the gas from it.
And you said you licked the time release off. What does that mean?
So the pills come in a time release format. So they're covered with time release because you're supposed to take it orally, and over time it, absorbs into your system. So I'm doing it in its immediate sense. So I had to, get rid of that time release part of it so that I could break it up and, put a lighter underneath it and smoke it, So, it's intense. That's pretty severe, to think about that's how I would do it,
Wow, that's sad. It's really sad.
It is really sad, But that's an addict, we get to a point of no return, where things get really, really bad. That was where I was beginning to know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that my life was completely unmanageable.
Wow.
Yeah.
On Thursday, I celebrated 24 years without a drink.
That is so awesome.
Last
Congratulations.
Thursday. Thank you. And one day at a time. So I think it was
Right.
8,660 days. I think that's correct.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but don't judge me if I don't know what it is. But again, one day at a time. But I was thinking about, I don't remember what I was thinking. I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, circle back.
It's all that alcohol. It's coming
Those
back.
brain cells are gone.
As I said in the beginning of this episode, I really want to make it relatable. And I know that these phones are, I remember when I first came in, what I wanted to say was, when I first came in, that's what these old timers would tell me, is find the similarities. Because often
I've heard that many times before myself.
Just kind of looking for what are the differences. Like, if I'm hearing your story, it's like, I never took that time release off a thing and put it on foil and chased the dragon. I didn't do that.
Well, a lot of us can say that, in many different forms. Well, I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. I wasn't homeless. I didn't steal. I didn't lie. But as we have talked before, a lot of times, our sponsors or what have you can tell us, well, that didn't happen yet.
Oh yeah, they always say yet.
Right. And that could very well be the case. Or, or if it's something more on a lighter side, where our addiction's not necessarily drugs or alcohol, but maybe it's shopping, we're hiding our bags and our in the closets and things like that to keep people from knowing just how much money we're spending or what we're actually doing or spending our time on, and we're doing that.
Yeah. So as you're listening to us talk about this, what in your life is unmanageable? What are you powerless over? If you're thinking about and reflecting and scanning your life, I was thinking about New Year's Eve is coming, and everyone makes a New Year's resolution list, and
Right.
all, gym memberships go up. You're fat,
Right.
you want to get in the gym, you want to get off the couch, these sorts of things. What is unmanageable? Is your weight unmanageable? Is your work-life balance, is that unmanageable?
Right. And a lot of these things don't have to be unmanageable to a point of where, they're completely and totally wrecking your life. They can be just unmanageable on we're letting things get away from us.
To the point, though, I think, where it creates a level of insanity.
Yeah, sometimes.
Like I was
Or
laying.
almost even.
Well, yeah.
So that can still be bad too, I mean.
Yeah, and I don't mean a sane asylum necessarily, but I'm just saying,
Right.
like I was laying in bed the other night, and I was on my phone. I don't gratefully do TikToks or Reels, and that's God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. I've never opened
Amen.
one, so I don't do them, but I know I would get hooked. But nonetheless, I do what I do. I was whether it was Facebook or Instagram or whatever I was on my phone.
If you're like me, we have those addictive personalities. So,
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think as I said earlier in this episode, I think we all do. And these algorithms exploit.
I think so too. Everybody has something.
The 8 deadly thoughts, be it envy or anger. Are you looking at politics all the time and you ate up with anger? Are you envy? Are you looking at Kim Kardashian's behind and saying, why isn't my behind like that?
Right.
Or or your ego is your pride all ate up, where you're traveling the world and you want everyone to know how special you are, or the big house that you have, or these are all things that these algorithms know, and they're exploiting them. So that's why I know.
Oh, yeah.
If you're out there, you're listening, I know that you're going to find the miracle as you continue to listen to some solutions that we're going to offer, because these are levels of insanity. These algorithms take us there. We take us there all on our own. When I got sober years ago, there was no Kratom. There was no Delta 8, Delta 9.
Oh my God, there's so much stuff out there now. And it's legal. You can buy it at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so readily available.
And laying in bed the other night, I was on my phone, as I was saying, and then I looked down, and there's my dog, like laying there, just looking at me, like wanting me, not wanting me, but I was just like, noticed when my attention averted from the phone and it was there, and suddenly he's like, oh, you want to see me? Oh, you want to be with me? Oh, you want to? It broke my heart. It broke my heart. And I said to Jeff, my husband, I said, what if all the time I was spending staring at this phone, I was staring at Plato or Rumi?
Yeah.
What would that do? How would that impact my relationship with the dog?
Yeah.
Because I did put my phone down and I did pet him. Oh, you're cute, and oh, I love you, and all that. Probably, honestly, lasted about 3 minutes. And next thing you know, I got that stinking phone back in my hand.
Right.
And so it's got power. It definitely has power over us to the point of insanity.
They really do.
And thinking about if I had children,
how sad that would be, right?
It kind of is, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. And we are going that route these days. We are really sucked in by these phones and our computers and even televisions, I mean, everything, any kind of media that there is, they suck us in. They know how to do it, just like you say, with those algorithms and everything else. They
and
really
it's our
know.
attention that's for sale. That's
correct.
That's our attention. That's what they're trying to, for clickbait, for ads, and all of that.
Right.
And so what we've determined now is we've determined that we're powerless over whatever we're talking about. Whatever you're out there thinking about in your life, you're powerless over it, and your life is unmanageable. And then it's created some sort of insanity in your life. The insanity would be getting in a closet to look at reels, or your kid is there and you haven't even looked at him because you're trapped on TikTok or whatever.
No attention whatsoever,
Or you're
neglect.
on the home shopping network or whatever it is. Whatever it is you're doing. And they say all of this stuff, the root of all this stuff, of these ways of being, is a spiritual malady. And malady is this lacking. We have a spiritual lacking.
Yeah.
And I think for many of us, we talked on a previous episode around so many of us are nuns anymore, meaning not affiliated with any sort of religious organization. And so I'm curious around what it is we're doing. If we're not affiliated religiously, how are we engaging spiritually?
Yeah.
And I'm going to do an episode in this season around spirituality, but just curious, like we've got this void here, so we now are addicted instead.
Yeah.
And then it's created insanity. And so they say the remedy is a
Spiritual connection.
of some sort.
Yeah.
So what did that spiritual connection look like for you?
That spiritual connection happened for me pretty insanely. Like the second I put down the hard drugs, like immediately I had a sense of a spiritual connection that I cannot explain. I started to see things in a different light. I started to feel things in a different way, and things started happening for me that I could not explain.
It's almost like spirit was waiting. It's like,
Oh my God, absolutely.
I'm here. Hello, I'm here. Put that crap down.
Right. I feel like the hand of God came, grabbed my hand, and guided me to where I needed to be.
What does she say, girl?
She said, come with me, I know a way. And I did. I was, followed right along.
But what is God for you? Tell me that.
Okay, so God for me is, when I was first becoming sober, I started to feel things and see things in a different light. And, and light had a different meaning for me altogether, So light is power and power is God. And I started getting an affliction and an affection.
Slow that down again. As you saw light.
I saw light.
And you said light is power.
Light is power and power is God.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And absolutely. I felt that in the core meaning of my being and, centrally all throughout my body.
So light in what kind of way? How are you seeing light?
Like literally, I was seeing light in pictures, beams of light coming down into me. I started feeling a lot more comfortable when I had something shiny around or I saw something shiny.
Like glitter?
Like glitter. Oh my God. I would get glitter. I'd have a bad dream. I would toss glitter around the house. I mean, literally, my friends would come over and they're like, okay, Jason, what happened here? I was like, I just had a bad dream. They're like, okay. They were like, oh my God, he's lost his mind. But, it made me feel comfortable. And I felt something different than I had never felt before, And for me, that was God. My dad, even to this day, calls me Glitter Boy.
Glitter Boy.
Yeah.
We were at a dinner party. A few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago or so.
Yeah.
And you were telling a story.
I was telling my story about the glitter and
yeah, he was telling a story, but then it was like he did like a mic drop, and he held his hand. If you can see on YouTube,
glitter.
Yeah. Instead of saying mic drop, he went glitter. So it's kind of a thing.
It was awesome, right?
It's kind of a thing with all us old gays around here. We're all saying, instead of mic drop, we're all going glitter.
Right? It's just fun, and it's cool. And for me, even today, when I hear that, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel a sense of calmness and peace and, tranquility, all that. I'm so ever grateful for that too.
Well, isn't it funny where we can find God if we're looking? God is love, and I think everywhere. Many of us have grown up with, particularly gay people, we've grown up with a God that doesn't love us, or at least we're told
that doesn't serve us,
doesn't love or serve us. And so that was my challenge in coming in was, oh my goodness, even on day one, when I found a sponsor, he wanted me to pray. And I already told him that I had all kinds of spiritual issues, and I was mad.
To do with God.
I was mad with him. And I said, I would do anything but that. And he said, no, you said you'd do anything it takes to stay sober.
Right.
That's what you said. I said, anything but that. Because I didn't believe it. When I do things in my life and in my recovery, I do it because it's real.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much anything. Like, I mean, I will tell the truth. I tell the truth in my own spirit. I tell the truth to my friends. And I do it because it's real and resonant. I'm not faking it. Life's
Yeah.
too short to fake it. And so when he wanted me to get on my knees and pray 24 years ago, I
Yeah.
wasn't willing to do that. And I fought with him.
I've heard of faith as described as taking the next step, not knowing where it is. And that for me is absolutely faith, and because you can't see it, you have to feel it.
It is a feeling.
Yeah.
It is a feeling. I found that it's one that washes over me like it did you, like light.
Yeah.
This other book that we use in the Rooms of Recovery is called The 12 and 12. And in it says, willingness is the key to a faith that works.
Right.
Not I figured it out, not I picked this, not it's willingness. Am I willing to find something bigger than myself? Yes. And it's like, it just cracks the door. Willingness, I think it does say, cracks the door to a faith that works.
It does, yes.
And it almost like it's like the light, which
Yeah.
is power, which is God,
Exactly.
which is glitter,
Right.
comes flooding in and it washes over us.
And
I
all
think-
we need is that little crack. So once we have that little crack, things can grow from there and get spontaneous and huge and lovely and
Yeah,
great.
certainly when I got sober, and probably around this time, I'm thinking about the third step prayer, or this prayer, God, I offer myself to you to build with me and do with me as you will.
Take away the
Relieve me
bondage
the
of thyself.
bondage of self. I can't say these and thous and those though.
Yeah.
I had to rewrite that prayer. I had to rewrite it. Listen,
We're getting too religious now.
my program. This is my program.
Right?
Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them will show your power, your love, your way of life. And this willingness to open up, really just say, okay, now I realize I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And now that I'm not alone and I'm not so afraid, now what do I do? Well, I realized that all this unmanageability and this insanity has created things I wasn't willing to look at. There are things, oftentimes, the reason why I had a spiritual malady, and maybe that was one of the things that really was bogging me down, was the religious piece. Or maybe it was all these resentments of being taunted as a gay guy, or whatever it is. These are things that I really wasn't able to look at.
Well, we can get so caught up in our daily life of all of that, just like you were saying earlier, we can miss the forest for the trees and we don't see it, but like you said earlier as well, it's there for the finding.
What's there? What is?
Our faith, our God, whatever he, she, it may look like.
Glitter.
Glitter. Exactly.
Glitter. Yeah, a disco ball was God for me in a gay clubhouse where I got
See?
sober in Atlanta
Glitter.
for a long time. Glitter. So, but then I realized, again, I'm not alone. And sometimes it can just be another
Yeah.
friend that we're depending on. But it's time now to get the courage to take a look at some of these things that we weren't willing to look at before. There's all these fears of things that have happened, these resentments that have built up, these things that I call it like we pack all this luggage. Like if something, I'm not going to talk about that, and we throw it behind us. And throw it. So imagine like you're in a van, right? And you're driving down the road of life, and then suddenly something happens, and you're like, oh my God, I can't deal with that. I'm going to put it in the luggage. I'm going to throw it in the back. And we've done that 100 times, at least, from the time we were young. I mean, think about it as you're listening to us. Think about something that happened in elementary school that's still bothering you.
Still thinking about it.
Still thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's the luggage
That is
I'm talking
resentment.
about. That's resentment.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. What is resentment?
So my sponsor told me, because when I came into a program of recovery, I had no idea what resentment meant. And so he said, well, if you think about it more than a couple of times, it's more than likely a resentment. Yeah. So if it's eating my lunch, if I can't stop thinking about it, and I'm still resonating and just angered and just furious about it, absolutely, that's resentment.
Yeah, and particularly now we're in the holidays.
Right.
right? We're sitting
Yeah.
down at Thanksgiving across from people who created buttons
Oh
of
my
these
gosh.
resentments.
And they
right?
say they install them, and they do.
They install
know,
them and they know where they are.
They know
honey.
where they are. They can push it with a quickness.
Yes, but our power really lies in really that really beautiful prayer that is so simple and often
Yeah.
cliched, which is what? The Serenity Prayer.
The Serenity Prayer,
Which
yeah.
is what, Jason?
Which is, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And actually, that prayer has a lot more that goes behind it. Have you ever read the whole Serenity Prayer? It's just beautiful.
I don't know that I have.
Oh my God, it is absolutely beautiful.
I truly am always learning things from you. Like the
Oh,
9
thank
step
you.
promises.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
We did that in reverse. That was hysterical.
No, I had never heard of the
Yeah,
the full.
It goes quite a bit further.
But just in that little bit, God grant me the serenity
Yeah.
to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change my aunt across the way who
Right.
is the alcoholic who pushes all the buttons that on me that she installed when I was 10.
Right.
I don't need power over that. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things that I can.
Who can I
Whoa.
change? I can change me.
What is looking back at me in the mirror?
Right.
Who's
Exactly.
hiding in the closet with reels?
Right?
Who notices the dog that's longing for my attention?
Yeah.
Who notices my kid? Who notices the bank statements from all the spending?
We all know what our thing is.
That's right.
Whether it's alcohol or drugs or something so minuscule.
That's right.
We all know.
We do.
We know in the back of our head, that could be an issue, or I could potentially maybe, shift that or change that. It doesn't have to be just drugs and alcohol. Not at all.
And so these resentments, as I said, we pile them up and we're throwing them in the back. And then when we decide,
huge.
Because you say we know. And
Yeah.
so now when we acknowledge what it is that we know, it's like we slam the brakes on.
All that stuff has come forward.
All of the
Right.
luggage just comes over the front seat, and there you're sitting
piled
in
on
all
top
your
of us.
shit.
Yep.
Sitting in it.
Yeah.
And you're
Not a
like,
pretty
oh my
place.
God, this is why I was doing what I was doing to begin with.
Yeah.
I don't want to face this stuff.
Right.
But the courage, now you're not alone, right? Remember, you acknowledge there was powerlessness. You acknowledge there's insanity. You acknowledge that there's something bigger than you and that can help you. And now you're going to open these up. You're going to look at each one and you're going to ask, am I ready to let this go? Am I ready to let Aunt Sally's button pushing go so that when she's pushing them, that I can really sincerely let that go and
I can change how I behave from there.
Yeah, well said, Jason. Exactly. Yeah. And so some of the things that we open, we say, not yet. No, I'm not willing to let go of the molestation that happened when I was a kid. I'm
In our program, they've also told us too before, that God gives us what we can handle. He puts on our plate and he shows us and shows up for us what we can handle, and if we think that we can't handle it, maybe we need to search for a little bit of extra help,
Oh, yeah. Well, good point.
Yeah. So maybe we need to see a therapist or a psychiatrist or
Or a
whatever.
priest. Or a
priest. Yeah.
Or a life coach even.
Yeah.
Really.
Or
sometimes we're not completely...
a program.
Or a program of recovery. Right. Sometimes we're not completely broken. We just can't do it by ourselves.
And there's powers in numbers. So it's okay.
Well, not only that, Jason, but I say this to the group that we're forming here in Central Georgia, these gay guys. I often go around the room when we're gathered and I say, are you lonely? Yes. Are you lonely? Yes. Are you lonely? Yes. I'm lonely. So the truth is there's a loneliness epidemic. You who are listening, are you lonely? And I only say that to say, not only say it, but I say that to say, when you go to a place where someone is struggling with the same thing you're struggling with, you're not alone anymore.
Right.
And it's like, I've met my people.
Yeah.
I understood myself because I could see myself in you. And I could also see the struggle that you were.
You're searching for those similarities.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where we have to really put our concentration on, because we can all see our differences. That's easy to see. It's harder to find those similarities. So that's where the magic, if you will, is.
My goodness, I think we're giving the people listening a whole lot to chew on. So
Yeah.
what I would recommend is let's just stop it here, or we'll continue the conversation, but maybe we can pick it up next week for them to listen. So if you're listening, what have we said? What resonates? And maybe you can make a list and write it down, and we're going to continue this awesome conversation around conjuring the human spirit from addiction, from what's holding you back. We're going to continue that next week.
Yeah.
So join us then. You willing to
good.
stay?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's keep going then.
Okay.
All right.
You've been listening to Conjuring the Human Spirit with Sean McGuire Meeks. To connect with Sean, learn more about working one-on-one, or to grab your spot for an upcoming workshop, visit McGuireLife.com or tap the link in this episode's description. Thank you for joining us, and remember, you're not alone.